Good morning. Welcome to another edition with Joe on the job site. Today, our guest is Dale Haupt. Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's good.
It may not sound like much, but getting the names correct in this industry, it's a key thing. It's important to some people, and it is to me. So, Dale, we've worked together off and on over 20 years, and I first met you over around 20 years ago,
Mhm.
and you were doing marketing for a company that I work for. So, could you share with us how you got your start in the industry, how you came up through your education, some of the things you've did, your mentors, the people that came along and helped you out and taught you things, as well as some challenges you had?
Sure, Joe. Glad to. And thank you for inviting me here today. Um, Growing up, I always enjoyed watching buildings go up in the construction process. So when I graduated from college, I thought I want to go into business development and sales. And the reason was is because when you're on the front end of something, I always felt that being in that role of leading an opportunity would be exciting and challenging. So I started my career with a group that did large, complex facilities, more on the industrial side, biotechnology, semiconductor. The more complex, the better.
That's pretty complex.
Yeah. So I worked there. I transferred around the United States a few times. And the more that I transferred, the more complex the projects got and became. Working with technical people, working with PhDs, building professionals was really exciting. From there, I transitioned to an architectural firm.
Now, in the architectural firm, did you start out like at a beginning level and go up from there?
Good question. No, I was kind of covering a region. And again, it was more on the industrial side, the pharmaceutical that evolved into
Yeah.
healthcare, and learned how to design a building. So it took me from building a complex facility to designing a complex facility. And that kind of leveraged both of those pieces together, which gave me a little bit bigger arsenal
Yeah.
in terms of continuing to sell
So it
buildings.
your experience wasn't just limited to building high rises, designing and building. You have from the conductor side all the way up through the architectural variances.
Correct.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. So each step along the way helped put another piece together. And from there, I met some folks at a large construction company that wanted to open a life science division. And so they solicited me.
In a what's a life science division? What part is that?
Life science would be like building a big industrial facility that manufactures the drugs and the medicines that we would
Okay,
take.
that's pretty good.
So I was recruited into this organization to help them grow that side of the business, which was where you and I first met, and continued to work through developing that market. So you'd asked about challenges. So along the way, this particular organization had not worked in that market prior.
And there's a lot of companies that like to try different avenues because a lot of companies don't want to put all their eggs in one basket because
Yeah,
economies change.
that's right.
And that was a good call for them.
Yeah, so I would say the greatest challenge there was the branding and the marketing and the exposure to develop a pathway for them to build that kind of a building. So, over the course of a couple of years, we began to make an impact, began to penetrate that market, and began to start on a smaller scale, more like laboratories,
Yeah.
small
Get your feet
facilities.
wet the first
Yeah,
time.
get your feet wet the first time. And then as the field operations teams became more experienced and understanding the nuances and how to build those facilities, then on the marketing side, as well as the operations side, together, we created a link that would help take the firm into a different marketplace.
And you hit the nail on the head. The experience, they started small, they built their experience and their teams built experience. all aspects of the team, from supers, the PMs, the PEs, the fields and subs,
Hmm.
and then they built it up. That's a pretty good route to take for most companies to
Yeah.
grow into a new market.
Yeah. So we overcame a lot of the conflicts, a lot of the challenges, grew a nice division, and continued to go forward. Then, as time progressed, um, that particular marketplace lost a little bit of funding due to politics and
A little
such.
slowdown in it.
Yeah, so then I kind of migrated into a couple of different markets, that being education, where you and I work together a little bit more.
I remember that. Yeah.
And education became a prime focus. And what was interesting in terms of that was that a lot of the educational facilities that we had worked on also would set up laboratory facilities or science and technology
Yeah,
buildings.
we did a lot of those.
Yeah, so therefore we had a lot of opportunity again to enhance relationships and enhance the operational teams together.
I remember some of those because some of those people that were in the pharmaceutical areas and the different laboratories, they actually came and did our science labs for us.
That's
We
right.
got a good contractor out of that. I remember that.
Yes, that's exactly right. So that kind of still falls back on where we started and how that operational team, marketing, business development created a link within an industry to where we were focused and people knew the background experience and people could do the work. So I think that we overcame that challenge in growing the opportunities within that organization to develop a formidable company.
You know, that's a real good point because they started in the market that they hadn't been in. They built themselves up and they got experience in it. The market changed.
Hmm.
But the company was had because of their resources that had learned in there, they got to use them in another area of the market, and it was a key feature for someone, an architect owner or someone who was looking for a specialty, and with that experience. So that experience in the industry where you started in one sector, you built up, it slowed down, and then you went to another one, it lended itself to support the next challenge. And when we went to the vocational or educational sides, it proved to be a good support tool for us.
Yes, yeah, that's exactly correct. So the company continued to grow, the company continued to flourish. We could hire new people, we could do some training
Yep.
and keep everybody involved in the growth of the company, which meant security for them. So, that was kind of where I began, kind of the road through, kind of the pathway. And then it was just an expansion upon that and looking at the markets and how do we network, how do we engage from both field perspective, operations perspective, as well as marketing
Yeah.
and business development and what I call sales as well. And I think, Joe, I could talk a little bit around that if you'd like to.
I think that's important part. And I'd like to add to it that no matter who's on the job, it's experience.
That's right.
And as you gain it, it's up to that person to learn it and try and build themselves up.
Yes.
And the companies have the same way. They have to build that particular section for each one. That doesn't mean you're going to use it for the rest of the forever.
Right.
As the economy changes, you've got to be able to adjust and flux
Yes.
as well. Superintendents, marketing, and so on and so forth.
Yes.
And the one thing that you mentioned, and we mentioned a minute ago, was mentoring.
Hmm.
Without mentoring in this industry, and matter of fact, it's with any profession, as the seasoned individuals come up, they need to be mentoring the people behind them
Correct.
so that it can carry on.
Yes.
So, uh, sorry to interrupt you there. Go
No,
ahead.
that's okay. Yeah. And I know we've all had our mentoring professionals that we've looked up to along the way. And
Oh, I got one good one for you. If you were to stop and think about mentoring, who in your career what example would you have in your career of a mentoring that really made a difference for you?
sure. Yeah, I would say early on, Joe, I met an individual that had spent a number of years, quite a few years, in some very complex industries. And he kind of developed a chemistry for me early on that said, Dale, sales of large, complex, multi-million dollar facilities is one of the most interesting things that you'll ever do in your entire career. So today I am still friends with that individual, but I would say that he was probably the most influential because he could convince me that the more pieces and parts, whether that be human materials or whether that be products, processes, if you will,
Hmm.
would be fun, and no 2 days would be the same, and it would grow me as a person. So I would say that that individual was the most influential
You,
to me.
I like that story. I've had similar to that, and the more complex the project, the more fun it is to do
Right.
for me,
That's right.
because you really have to put your head in the game. You have to think it through. You have to
Yeah.
plan it. It can't just walk through and let the pieces fall where they may. You've got to have a hold of the job as a superintendent.
Yeah.
And we have to make sure the owner understands the flow and how we can do it. And then maybe at that time we can show them some ways it could be cost saving areas
Correct.
for them.
Correct. Yes.
So in
Yes.
sales, what were some of the things that you did in sales to attract the people?
Yeah. I would say let's go back a little ways,
Okay.
if I may. One of the most interesting things that looking back, that I enjoyed was what we used to call cold calling clients.
Yeah, I remember those.
So I used to take a folder, and when I would go into an area, I would already have pre-targeted, I don't know, 5 or 10 clients, potential clients that are doing the types of projects that the firm would like to get into.
Yeah.
And I would just knock on the doors and go in and hand them a business card and say, "Hi, I'm Dale Haupt, and I represent XYZ. And who do I talk to within your organization about securing an opportunity or some work?" And some firms would hand out that business card and say, "I'm sorry, I can't help you, but if you call this individual, they'll be happy to help you and they'll meet with you and you can develop an opportunity from there." So, I used to have I used to do a win ratio type thing of how many cold calls do I have to make to get an actual job. And, I was able to get it down at one point to where it was about 50% of everybody I spoke to would give me an opportunity. Whether you would win it or not was a different
Yeah, it's
story,
another
but you get
story.
an opportunity. So I'd say that was probably the most fun, but also the most challenging because I always looked at it as you're meeting someone new, you're making a new friend, and that new friend, we are very much a relationship business here. And so
Trying
if
to
I,
walk in the door and
yeah,
get them to talk to you is probably a challenge.
yeah. So if you make a new friend, you get a new project.
Yeah.
So,
And you may see them 6 months, 8 months, a year later somewhere in a
right.
function, and they say, "I remember you.
That's right.
And can you come by the office? I got something I'd like to talk to you about."
That's
And
right.
there you go.
And they
That
did.
relationship carried.
And they did. And the other interesting thing is, and we've talked about it before, is how many touch points does it take for a client or someone to say, "Hey, I like them, I know them, I trust them. I'm going to provide an opportunity for them to work for me."
Yep.
And that kind of goes back to the job site, as well, Joe, as I think from the field standpoint, a lot of people, you are talking to that client every day. Marketing kind of sets it up.
Hmm.
And then when it develops into an opportunity, it's really important that the field team and especially the superintendent who's on that job every day engaged in the OAC meeting, the operator, architect, and contractor meetings and things like that. That's where the sales can really be enhanced along the way.
And we have that over my career. I've had that many times. The OAC meetings,
Hmm.
and one of the toughest things in an OAC meetings is you have to. A sales has sold it, marketing has done their job, and now it's to the person in the field.
Right.
We all need to be on the same page.
Yeah, that's
We all need
correct.
to be saying the same thing.
That's
And then
correct.
from there, it's talking to the owner, the architect, a system with VEs,
Hmm.
how we can do the job a little faster, a little cleaner, or a little quicker
Yeah.
to bring it in, maybe earliest CO date for them.
Yeah.
How much can we do? And then you don't realize that when you're walking with an owner or an architect in the field, the relationship you're building with them,
Hmm.
and your goal if you make a commitment when you're in there with an owner or someone who's has a vision that they've painted a picture of and they want it, if you make the commitment, make sure you do it
That's correct.
and keep them updated throughout the process. Maybe it isn't something that happens in 6 weeks, it might take 6 months, but you keep them abreast of what you've done and how it's moving.
Yeah.
And then they love it when you ask them some questions to fine tune it.
Yeah. 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 I think one of the most important things we can do is to create that link. Your relationships on the job site are different than my relationships would be on the business development or the sales side.
Right.
So between the two of us, we're maintaining that account, if you will, or managing that account so that we get that repeat business. So it's not just doing it one time and then they don't hire us again. We want to maintain that account so the next time that they have something, they say, those guys did an awesome job. They brought everything together. They did everything they said they're going to do. And let's hire them again. And it's communication along that way between you and I.
Right.
I may hear from that client's director of finance where you may never talk to him. And I can say, hey, Joe, while you're out there on the job, this is a concern that they had. Would you mind addressing that concern on the job site? And that'll help us over this hurdle.
Yeah,
And
and I've done that many times. And
yeah,
sometimes it's a little quiet question where the individual marketing or sales has been asked. And I have loved that because we give them the information, we respond to them so
yeah,
that the owner feels comfortable that they're being taken care of.
yeah,
And you hit the nail on the head. You can sell the job. The business development's in there with it. It gets set, it gets bid, it gets started.
hmm,
But the real key that keeps the owner wanting to see you back, because the sales marketing people they're comfortable with, now they've got a field team
hmm, right,
and they need to be comfortable with them and trust them to do what's right for their project. Bring forward any
yeah,
challenge. If you
yeah,
bring a challenge, bring a solution,
yes, correct,
something that they can see that's solid and be able to tell them right then and there. They don't want to, they don't like to hear the word change orders,
yes,
but we can work or we can try this. No, it isn't a try. It isn't maybe this, maybe that. It's we can do this. Here are our options,
yes,
and then present it to them. And those are the relationships. And then I've walked with a number of architects and owners, CAs and stuff, where we walk the job and they ask the questions. Take the notes,
yeah,
follow up with the notes.
yeah,
And then if you have a question, like maybe you don't remember this was the way it was done from the beginning in marketing, you need to have a conversation to smooth it out.
yeah,
You're not there to point out the bad things. You're there to make the positives for the owner, the architect, and all the team.
yeah,
And as a superintendent, you're always leading the team.
yeah. And I think it's important, Joe, communication. It's people experience and communication. And how best can you communicate on a job site as it progresses from the initial onset through the completion and the turnover? I've always been a big proponent when I work with superintendents and operation staff on jobs to make sure that you're doing all you can to maximize the relationships when you're there. So networking on the job site, attending the some of the vendor meetings.
Yeah.
A lot of jobs have a stretch and flex, period that they may do. So be present, be available, be accessible. Any networking that you can do, topping out parties, talk to vendors, talk to the owners,
Yeah.
be there at the kickoffs when the shovel goes in the ground. It's all about building that stronger relationship along the way. And we do it in our personal lives. We all have good friends and we take care of our friends. That particular owner wants to make sure that the field team and the operations staff and the superintendents are taking care of their needs. What's in it for me? He's taking care of what I need, and that's a big priority.
And that's a something you develop as a superintendent in the field, your PEs, your PMs and stuff, and architects, owners, engineers, when you're
Mhm.
in those meetings and your field walks, you don't realize a top and out party, what it can do, not only for the people in the field that have worked countless, or not countless, a lot of hours and
Right.
long hours to meet deadlines.
Yeah.
And they get to meet the owner and the
Yeah.
owner sees the team that built the project.
Right.
I have been on projects to where I have had owner top out parties, and they say, "Well, I remember those guys from another project." I said, "Yeah, they came over to help us out with this one."
Right.
And I've seen the owners go over and shake their hands and say, "Yes, I remember you from the past."
Yeah.
And it meant a lot to that individual as well as the owner to see a familiar face. There's That's a relationship built. You think of the relationships that we have with you and I and the architect and the teams,
Right.
but now there's an owner going down to the person in the field,
Right.
shaking his hand and
Yeah.
saying, "Thank you for a job well done."
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that person that the guys working in the field, that person is one of the key elements from the bottom to the top,
Correct.
right in the field.
Yes. Yeah, you've escalated the relationship. There's a level of trust. There's a level of confidence in what you've been able to do, and that owner will come back.
So, in your opinion, and I've had mine expressed here how I've seen it. What do you think a superintendent can do to make an exceptional or to shine
Hmm.
when he's walking with an owner or an architect or one of the reps for the construction system,
Sure.
whether it be a sales or
Sure.
all the way down to the final owner?
Yeah, Joe, I think the most important thing that can be done is communication. Nobody likes to feel like they're left out in the dark on anything. Nobody likes to find out something after the fact that would be damaging and that creates a stressful environment, or that they have to go back and disrupt the office or disrupt the organization in terms of. So I think communication is very important. I think recommendations, as you mentioned earlier, here's a problem, here's a solution or two. I always say provide three solutions, and between the owner and the field staff, pick the best one,
Right?
whether that be schedule related, whether that be budget related, however that may come about, pick the best one. So be a solutions provider, solutions conduit to that owner. So the less stress they have, the more confident they become on how you can complete that job.
Right. One of the things in the communication, do you feel like it's always necessary to write and type communications, or I've walked in the field with a owner and they ask me the questions, and what I like to do with them is paint the picture of the flow of the project so that as we're walking the building, they can see our flow. They can see that it's going to be on time.
Mhm.
But is a field walk like that, do you feel like it's necessary to document it, or is this just a good conversation with you and the owner?
For me personally, I'm a big relationship person. So I would say that if you're talking to the right people, you're looking them in the eye, you're trustworthy, they see high integrity, then I would definitely say that the communication piece is a lot more effective than
The
just
verbal,
making a note.
yeah,
Yeah,
making a
yeah.
follow up.
And remember, people listen generally more than they talk. So you're providing an opportunity for them to listen and ask any questions right there on the spot rather than type something down and then they have to take a side note, read it,
Yeah,
and then hopefully they can get back to you when they need to get back to you. But do it right there.
yeah,
Yeah, do it right there as you're talking, walking, and trying to make provide a solution.
yeah. So if you're doing that and it becomes, if it would be a change order work or some other odds and ends,
Hmm.
then that might be a time to send a little quick follow up type.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
in that way, it's kind of a record that, because I have been on projects where someone walks in and says, "Well, we need to move this door. I want a door put here. I want a door put there."
Yeah.
Now, it's a good conversation, good
Yeah.
talk,
Yeah.
but that person, we got to document it so it's a matter of record.
That's right.
But I like the part of that.
Yeah, I do
They're
too.
they're out walking, they're looking, and the marketing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what in some key experiences with you and superintendents to owners, what kind of parts and pieces for guidelines when a owner is walking with a superintendent? Because you have a lot of young superintendents.
Right.
It's their first or second time
Yeah.
walking with an owner. Would there
Yeah.
be some key things you could advise for that person to follow when they're doing their first, second, and third walk?
Yeah, I think some of the most important things are make sure that you thoroughly understand the project and where it is. What's the current state of the project as you move forward?
Don't try to guess. Don't try to lead him like you know and you don't.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the other important thing to do is to listen, do more listening, make sure you understand what the question is before you come back with a response. And and another issue I think is don't say more than is asked. Answer the question and don't lead into something else because sometimes that may be a little bit of a challenge depending on the owner's time, focus, why they're there. Um,
And you made a good one earlier. Eye contact.
I follow up.
Yep.
You know,
And follow up
if you make a commitment, I don't know that answer, but I'll be more than happy to get that answer for you, and I'll have it for you by the end of the day.
and make
Make the
sure it
call.
happens.
Yeah, make the call.
Yeah.
Yeah, make sure it happens, and I think just be human. You know, we're human beings working with human beings. We all understand there's challenges and growth opportunities and conflicts, but as you go through your day-to-day work on that job site, just be human. Tell it like it is.
Yeah. Don't try to be more than you are.
Yeah,
Just talk in as you are every day
that's right.
and be yourself.
Yeah, that's exactly
And
right.
don't forget to add eye contact.
Yes, big deal. Big deal. Yeah. Big deal. Yeah. Yeah.
So, well, this is Joe, and our guest today has been Dale
Haupt.
Haupt. I got that right. For those of you who know me, I'm kind of bad with names, but I always get there. The one thing that I can tell you is a lot of times I see you out walking 10 years later and I'll recognize your face, but I may not know your name. Um, and in this episode, what our discussion today was over progressing from sales, marketing, and how we can blend and work with the team. And Dale is our guest today. Would you come back and do another segment with us? Because I think we've got some more we can talk about and how we develop some strategies and stuff. Can you come back and do another episode with us?
Sure, Joe. Love to.
Well,
Yes.
thank you, Dale. Thank you. This has been another episode with Joe on the job site. And thank you for today.